technically, despite having the most wins in both the AL and all of Major League Baseball, 52 of them for New York, no longer the best winning percentage.
You expect your front offices to hit that gas pedal when it comes time to get a better team on the field post All-Star break, because the one thing that you know from the Yankees and the Orioles is what, Ben? You're going to fight with each other throughout the stretch here, and you want home field advantage.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
You know, this guy is the mad scientist. I mean, he's all about green density. So in my mind, I feel like he's going to have the green speeds dialed in, and the angles he needs to land them and all that sort of stuff. I feel like he's going to be a good spot and playing the course well. And he's going to be hitting less club into a lot of these par threes too. So I just, we're talking about using a live guy. I love Bryson this week. I'm riding with Bryson.
Only on SportsGrid.
This new sports integrity partnership, Genius Sports, is involved in this. More protection.
They said that's going to allow them to beef up their protection and add more integrity monitoring tools to essentially catch bad behavior before it happens. This comes, obviously, after a just ton of scandals we've had across sports betting lately, whether it's the MLB umpire, Pat Hobert.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Despite me being a Yankee fan, I think Joe would deserve the label as Aaron Judge's biggest fan, not through any bias, but just through the amount of money that he's made anybody who's been betting on him.
I just had him for that home run, and I'm going to go back to it today. That home run coming in at plus 230. Max Fried here, while he has been strong, this is Aaron Judge.
GameTime Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
And welcome in a very, a happy Wednesday to you now here. June the 26th, it is Game Time Decisions on the SportsGrid Network. I'm Joe Raineri. We appreciate you stopping by as we've got Getaway Day baseball games early on. In fact, we've got about a half a dozen games already in the books. We've got two still going on right now with the Padres trying for the sweep over the Nats. They are up right now 4-0. And the Angels trying to handle business in the Bay Area by beating the Oakland Athletics. They've just taken a 5-1 lead there. They are in the sixth inning as well. We still have about a half a dozen Major League Baseball games set for tonight, including a little bit of a subway set there between the Yankees and the New York Mets. That's coming up a little bit later. Second half, a doubleheader between Atlanta and the Cardinals. Just a couple of games we're going to be keeping our eyes on as the world gets ready, as the stage is set for the 2024 NBA draft here tonight. Beginning here on the SportsGrid Network, we'll begin our very special edition of NBA draft coverage coming up at 7:30 Eastern time. But before then, we'll get you covered with everything you need to know here about some of the names and, of course, some of the teams. Will they or won't they? What teams might be active tonight in trading? We did get a whole lot of rumors and innuendo earlier today about maybe Kevin Durant being linked to the Houston Rockets until, of course, the owner of the Phoenix Suns came out and said, I don't think so. We did, of course, hear that there's a lot of confusion up at the top of the draft here tonight, in which you will find the Atlanta Hawks on the clock right now. This is all going to take place, of course, at the Barclays Center. Adam Silver will get to there. He will call for the Atlanta Hawks on the clock. And unlike what the San Antonio Spurs had to go through last year, which might have been maybe the easiest pick ever to have to make up at the top of the board in Victor Wembanyama a year ago, this year, maybe not so much. While they do consider this to be one of the more deeper drafts with a lot of talent that can certainly be cultivated. There isn't any handful of guys up at the top of this board in which, most of the scouts and most of the pundits are saying, and not really moving the needle in this class of 2023-24, except, of course, for one Bronny James. Well, we'll get into that a little bit later here this hour. But for our purposes here, everyone going through the pre-draft draft process and expectations, this is really shaping up to be maybe not one of, but it's early yet too. I mean, let's see exactly who makes teams and who can make a difference. And of course, there's always a diamond in a rough, but from all indications, this is going to be maybe one of the weaker drafts that we've seen in the past 20 years, just simply because there is no Victor Wembanyama up at the top where everyone is, or Chet Holmgren, or, any one of a handful of guys going back over the last 5 years that you would say, wow, this is definitely resetting a franchise. We don't have that kind of talent here, but we do have a lot of guys that can certainly make great additions to franchises like the Hawks, for instance, here, like Houston, like the Pelicans. There are some teams here, Washington included, that have some decisions to make about their franchises, and it begins coming up here tonight. What direction are they going? San Antonio Spurs, the Detroit Pistons, Charlotte, Portland, without a doubt, already with a ton of young talent on that team. What can they add? And quite honestly, who might actually trade out of a spot or two here on opening night? The fun will begin at 8 o'clock, and it should be very interesting to see if there are any big trades that happen prior. Don't forget, you go back as far as 2019, I think, the Pelicans with Zion in that spot there. You had Wembanyama last year. There are some opportunities for some teams to restock the shelves, if you will, with a whole lot of talent. This is different than what the NFL is as far as impact players. If I'm in the NFL, I'm a general manager in the NFL, and I need an offensive tackle, I draft an offensive tackle. It's that simple. If I need a wide receiver, I draft a wide receiver. The NBA is not built like that. The NBA is much more of a potential league. They draft not because somebody is going to step right in and perform right away and fix a roster, but they draft with the intention of cultivating the talent. It's very unique like that, much like baseball, where you'll never see a guy go from the draft right up to the major leagues right away. They're basically drafting on potential, getting them in the system, and seeing where it goes from there. So that is what this draft is going to be here tonight. And again, 7:30 Eastern time, a very special edition here of Draft Central coming your way on this SportsGrid network. In the meantime, though, I had mentioned we got plenty of Major League Baseball to be excited about here tonight, as the Yankees and the Mets, Louis Gil taking them out against Sean Manaea. Mets handle business barely, but they handled business last night here. Can they do the same again tonight against those Yankees? Can the Yankees score enough runs early instead of having to wait till Judge hits a grand slam late? What about Toronto? Can they, after finally breaking that curse of just a terrible losing streak last night, they handle business against Boston? Can they get it done again here tonight? And of course, the Orioles are trying to figure out where it went all wrong. And it went all wrong by having to take on the Guardians and before them, the Houston Astros. And it feels like forever since Baltimore has actually won a game. Grayson Rodriguez on the mound going up against Carlos Carrasco. Good old Carlos Carrasco, who, by the way, pitched his heart out last time out against Toronto and limited the Toronto Blue Jays in a Guardians win, about 5 days ago, 4 days ago. He is going to have an opportunity to do that to the Orioles lineup That's coming up here at the bottom of the hour. We're going to talk to our good friend George Kurtz coming up. We'll get some of his thoughts on what these games are going to look like. And, of course, the late night slate, we're going to have another Cubs-Giants battle here, not to mention the Twins and the Diamondbacks with Nelson and Woods Richardson going at it. Diamondbacks handled that game last night. And what about the Sox? Fede, that's right. It is First Five Fede. I just renamed him because that's the only time you ever want to bet the Chicago White Sox is when it is in the First Five. Problem is they're taking on the Dodgers, who are in no mood for your First Five shenanigans there. And Stone has been maybe the most consistent pitcher for the Dodgers all year long. Guy has been phenomenal, taking on a very weak lineup. This screams under to me here, but we'll have more on that game coming up. And, of course, we've got some Copa America. If you have been following soccer fans there, we've got in Group B, Venezuela and Mexico coming up. Plenty across the board here now that the NHL and NBA seasons are over. We've got plenty more going on, including a pretty big golf tournament getting ready to start there in Detroit tomorrow with the Rocket Mortgage Classic. So come on back and join us. Game Time Decisions. We're just getting started on this Wednesday here on the SportsGrid Network.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
11 and 12. I know you're going to get Mafia excited here. Hot and bothered.
You got to put Aaron Rodgers here and the Jets at 11. I would put him higher, but again, he barely played football last season. They've addressed their offensive line. It's not going to be great. The depth at wide receiver is a problem for me. Defense, perhaps the best in the National Football League. If Rodgers plays 14 games, they're probably going to win that division over the Bills.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Rory Mack, it is going to be remembered. It will be a lasting image from the 2024 United States Open, just like Bryson DeChambeau's 55-yard bunker shot.
We love big-time winners. Like, you win a championship, we want to hear from you. You get the stage. Sometimes it's emotional. It's a great watch. We know we also love the losers who said, you know what, I just can't believe I folded down the stretch. Let me face the music here. You sort of get a new light there.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network. Appreciate you hanging out with us here as we're getting ready for the NBA Draft coming up here 8 o'clock Eastern Time at the Barclays Center. The Atlanta Hawks are on the clock. We have a very special edition of Draft Central coming your way, 7:30 Eastern Time here. But we got plenty of Major League Baseball and a possible breaking story that we'll have more information for you here in just a few, as it looks like the New York Knicks, who apparently want to win the offseason in a bad way here as they dominated the headlines yesterday with Mikal Bridges, trading for Mikal Bridges. And now it looks like OG Anunoby is going to be also a part of this thing. So it only made sense if OG was going to stay. And he had opted out. He declined that player option to become an unrestricted free agent. And the whole rumor was that, yes, Bridges, they made the move for Bridges with the full intent of making OG Anunoby a long-term fixture here of the Knicks. It looks like that's exactly what happened there. So just like that, the New York Knicks, in a matter of 48 hours, have certainly hoped the Boston Celtics have celebrated long enough, because get ready. Apparently, the Knicks are sounding the alarm. They are very much in play to give the Celtics a run for their money come next year, provided everyone can stay healthy, of course. We welcome in our good friend George Kurtz to the show here. As Kurtz, we get ready for some Major League Baseball tonight. We got a little Subway thingamajig there going on. I don't even know. It just feels like it's kind of lost its luster here. But game 2 of the Mets and the Yankees here tonight. And I guess maybe the Yankees, I mean, Gil got absolutely crushed against, I believe, what was it, Baltimore? Absolutely smoked him last time out. Manaea, the problem with Manaea is he's a left-hander, and the Yankees apparently can't hit left-handed pitching. So what do we do with this game tonight here?
Yeah, the Yankees' record against left-handers is not good, to put it nicely, mainly because you throw a left-hander, well, you neutralize Soto, or at least slow him down. You do neutralize Verdugo. It means Trevino usually starts, and he can't hit. So it hurts the Yankees tremendously there when a lefty goes. And we're not even talking a good left-hander, though. But this is why the Mets, remember, they switched up the rotation yesterday, right? Originally, it was supposed to be Severino pitching against the Yankees, but they moved Severino to Sunday, who pitched great against the Cubs, and they put Peterson against the Yankees, left-hander. That's why they did that, and it worked yesterday. The Yankees beat up on the Mets bullpen, but they did not beat up on Peterson, especially when you don't score with bases loaded and nobody out. Frustrating to play nicely there as a Yankee fan. The Yankee lineup tonight, I mean, my God, it looks like a spring training lineup. The recently acquired J.D. Davis is batting cleanup. Okay, no Torres tonight. You want to call it, he got benched. You know, he said he had his groin tightened up, but he's out of the lineup tonight. So Cabrera's in, Ben Rice is in, the rookie playing first base, Trevino. I mean, it's 5-9. It's like, you got to be kidding me. You know, if I'm the Mets, for the love of God, don't let Judge beat you. Don't pitch the Judge. Give him his base. Yeah. I don't care if the base is loaded. Walk him. All right, it's just not worth it. No one else can hit on this team other than maybe Soto. That's it. You know, so I'm on the Mets tonight. You know, I think, once again, left-hander, Yankees aren't playing well. The Mets are playing well. Everything says Mets tonight, which means the Yankees probably will pull out a victory somehow. But give me the Mets.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you here until I see otherwise. Yeah, if it ain't broke, we ain't fixing it here. And right now, the Yankees appear to be broke. So they did announce, right, Gleyber Torres, if you can't hit water, if you fell out of a boat, probably a good idea not to keep them in the lineup. And it looks like he won't be in the lineup for the foreseeable future. Runs were not a problem, however, last night in Baltimore, but Baltimore winning games is a problem. And I don't know that it gets any easier here in this one coming up in about 15 minutes with Grayson Rodriguez on the mound taking up Carrasco. We all laughed at Carrasco last time out, except he shut down Toronto. Not like that's hard. But still, the Guardians swinging the bats here. It's another hot, humid day, it feels like. Kurtz, warmer than it was last night. The ball was just flying out of Camden. Why would we think anything else is going to happen here tonight, except maybe for a whole lot of runs and a whole lot of fun here?
That's where I'm banking on it. I think it's another fun ball night in Camden Yards here. And remember, Grayson got lit up his last outing as well. He had 7 runs in 5 innings, something like that. Carrasco should get hit as well. Baltimore can hit. That's not their problem. Their problem is pitching. All right, I mean, that's not a shock here. Grayson is one of their better pitchers. So I think the 7 runs last outing, is more of an outlier than a sign of things to come. But we're not talking an ace here. He's not Corbin Burns, just a good starting pitcher. That being said, I think runs are coming tonight. I think Baltimore will hit Carrasco. So I'm on the Baltimore team total. I'm on the over in the game. I'm going to take the Orioles on the run line. I think they will beat up Carrasco. Sooner or later, this losing streak of Baltimore has to end. All right, well, they have 5 games now. They've saved the Yankees, right? Because at least the Yankees were able to take one game over the weekend. Baltimore's lost 5 straight, so they're actually making life a little easier for the Yankees by not going on a winning streak here after taking 2 or 3 from the Yankees last week here. But I think the Orioles rebound tonight. I think they'll break the streak. They'll score some runs. I have very little doubt they'll score some runs. I am worried that Cleveland's going to score some runs as well and keep up with them. Cleveland, by the way, one of the top 3 records in the American League. We're not giving them enough love. And I'm not really being down on Cleveland. I'm just more down on Carrasco and up on the Baltimore offense.
Yeah, and the problem with the game yesterday is both teams burned their bullpens again here. So I don't know that, Class A is not pitching tonight. Cano, I believe, last night came in. He got roughed up. So I guess there's Kimbrel. Good luck with that. But yeah, the bullpens are in not great shape on either side. Warm night, feels like runs are coming one way or the other in this one here. We do have a couple of other interesting games coming up, Kurtz, that I want to go over with you. Namely, of course, Toronto. Did they turn it around? Did they figure finally something out yesterday against Boston? They'll have an opportunity to prove it here tonight in another game here with Rodriguez going up against Cutter Crawford. Also, we got a couple of interesting late night games here with our boy Fetty and the White Sox taking on Stone and the Dodgers. That is an interesting one. I have an interesting stat in that game, too. I'll see what you think of it when we get back. Is in-game live coming up after later tonight. It's Game Time Decisions, and we'll be back after this.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
11 and 12. I know you're going to get Mafia excited here. Hot and bothered.
You got to put Aaron Rodgers here and the Jets at 11. I would put him higher, but again, he barely played football last season. They've addressed their offensive line. It's not going to be great. The depth at wide receiver is a problem for me. Defense, perhaps the best in the National Football League. If Rodgers plays 14 games, they're probably going to win that division over the Bills.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Rory Mack, it's going to be remembered. It will be a lasting image from the 2024 United States Open, just like Bryson DeChambeau's 55-yard bunker shot.
We love big-time winners. Like, you win a championship, we want to hear from you. You get the stage. Sometimes it's emotional. It's a great watch. We know we also love the losers who said, you know what, I just can't believe I folded down the stretch. Let me face the music here. You sort of get a new light there.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network, as we do have confirming breaking news out of New York with the NBA draft coming up here tonight. The New York Knicks continuing to steal the spotlight. 24 hours ago, they traded for Mikal Bridges with the Brooklyn Nets, and today they have made it official just now. In fact, they are not letting OG Anunoby go anywhere. 5 years, $212 million. The former Toronto Raptor has found a home with the New York Knicks here. And boy, oh boy, Knicks fans got to be jumping up and down, feeling good. And the Celtics, you had to know this was coming, Celtics. Did you think everyone was just going to sit idle by? Anunoby, if he can stay healthy, worth every bit of that $212.5 million over 5 years. So it's getting ready. The NBA season may have just finished, but boy, oh boy, the headlines continue to roll in, and we will keep you posted. In the meantime, we welcome back George Kurtz here, talking some Major League Baseball here tonight, Kurtz. And talk to me about this Toronto team. You and I have always just kind of shaken our head at them. They are terrible on so many levels, not because they don't have talent. This is a year where they just can't hit. They can't execute. The bullpen is atrocious. And now they're at Fenway. So here's another one where I think, why would I back pitchers? Why not just back the totals in this game? What are you thinking?
Well, first off, I got to tell you, Toronto's been my bugaboo team. All right. No matter what I do with them, I'm wrong. All right. On them, no, they lose. Against them, they win. Under, it's over. They kill me. Absolutely kill me here. But that being said, I think like you, yeah. When you already said it's a hot night across the Northeast here, right? The ball's going to travel here. These two teams can hit. So, yeah, I'm with you. Give me the over. That's what I'm going to go with this game as well. One thing I will tell you, my phone is blowing up now, and it's about a severe thunderstorm alert in the area. Now, I live in New York, maybe an hour from Citi Field, which means they're going to get it too. This would be interesting because if there was any kind of delay during the game, there's no way Heal's coming back for the Yankees. All right, and if they go to that bullpen early, that bullpen's going to get wrecked. So keep that in mind if you want to go play the over in that game, banking on that Louis Heal's not going to go deep into the game because of a delay or so. Like I said, my phone is blowing up. I checked here. They say it's going to rain within a couple of hours. Generally, it rains at Citi Field about an hour before I get it. So just one thing to keep in mind there if you want to play the over.
It's, we'll see if they even started on time, and maybe they just push it all back. It'll be interesting to see here. 7:10 is that first pitch at Citi Field. How about some of these late night games here? The only time we ever bet the White Sox is early, and it's usually, Fetty or Crochet, one or the other. Fetty on the mound here tonight at home against the Dodgers, who haven't exactly been crushing the White Sox in this series. But what do you think we should do? I like Stone a lot. Nobody seems to be talking about him.
Stone's been great. Right? I mean, for what they expected out of him, he's been great. Remember, in the beginning of the year, well, maybe he'll be our fifth starter. We'll see. He's been reliable is really the best way to put him. He's not going to knock, he's not going to go 7 innings, no runs. Well, tonight he might. It is the White Sox. But he's been the quality start guy. He's going to give you 6. He's going to give up about 3 runs here, keep you in the game, which for the Dodgers offense should be more than good enough here. Teoscar Hernandez returns for the Dodgers tonight. He was on a personal leave there, so he's back in the lineup here. Of course I'm on the Dodgers. I'm on the run line. I think it was -108 when I took it here. I'm not going to lay the -176, not unless I'm going to put them in a parlay, which you certainly could do. There's more than enough games to find that. But give me the Dodgers on the run line. I haven't decided yet, but at least one Dodger is going to get the anytime home run. Ohtani's the easy choice, but we're not getting paid enough for that now. So I might go with a lesser Dodger. I'm feeling like it's a Will Smith night. Little fresh prince there for Will Smith for the Dodgers. Maybe anytime home run for him. Freeman hit one already. There's no Mookie anymore. I don't want to go with one of the lesser guys, but Jason Hayes, guy who's I'm toying around my head as well. If I want to just throw a dart and see if I can hit a bullseye.
So I did have Arizona last night here because Arizona is better than teams like I don't know the Colorados or the terrible teams, the Oakland Athletics, which is the only thing Minnesota beats. So what do we get for round 2 here tonight in this one?
I think we get runs. Not really thrilled with the pitching matchup here. Richardson versus Nelson here. Although Nelson was good his last time out. Last time or two I'm surprised. He was terrible earlier in the year. Still, I think we're going to get runs tonight in the desert. So give me the over.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. They are much better at home than he has been on the road here. So That'll be a good one. And then, of course, everyone's favorite, watching and fading the Cubs here tonight. That should be good. George, we appreciate it. As always, we're going to talk some draft with Mike Fiddle coming up next here on Game Time Decisions.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
11 and 12. I know you're going to get Mafia excited here. Hot and bothered.
You got to put Aaron Rodgers here and the Jets at 11. I would put him higher, but again, he barely played football last season. They've addressed their offensive line. It's not going to be great. The depth at wide receiver is a problem for me. Defense, perhaps the best in the National Football League. If Rodgers plays 14 games, they're probably going to win that division over the Bills.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Rory Mack, it's going to be remembered. It will be a lasting image from the 2024 United States Open, just like Bryson DeChambeau's 55-yard bunker shot.
We love big-time winners. Like, you win a championship, we want to hear from you. You get the stage. Sometimes it's emotional. It's a great watch. We know we also love the losers who said, you know what, I just can't believe I folded down the stretch. Let me face the music here. You sort of get a new light there.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in on this glorious Wednesday here, the 26th of June. We've got the NBA draft coming up, 8 o'clock Eastern time. The Atlanta Hawks will be on the clock. We've got breaking news in the association, and we've got our good friend Mike Fiddle joining us here to talk about all of it. As Mike, I mean, boy, you talked about the Knicks trying to win the headlines. They've done a pretty good job of that over the last 24 hours. They trade with the Nets for Mikal Bridges, and now we're learning $212.5 million over 5 years. They lock up Anunoby, and just like that, the Celtics sweating over the eyebrow a little bit here.
I think so. It's NBA draft week, so everyone's keeping their eyes to who's the biggest winner and reflecting on the futures market to do that. And we've seen the Knicks skyrocketing up now 8.5 to 1 in the futures market after re-signing OG Anunoby. Woo! It makes them very dangerous and very compatible to play against the Boston Celtics. The Knicks have been a team that have given the Celtics fits over the last few seasons. They've played them really tight. They've taken a few games from them. And now they bring in not only Bridges, but re-sign OG Anunoby, hopefully get him back healthy at the start of next season. And that's a dynamic duo to throw at Tatum and Brown, to throw at Dame and Giannis, to throw at Maxey and Embiid. We saw OG Anunoby do a phenomenal job fronting Joel Embiid during the playoffs and using the Mitchell Robinson or Hartenstein backline of defense. The center spot and the rim protection is going to be the one thing the Knicks still have to shore up. But this makes them incredible. It makes them very dangerous. The chemistry should be very fun to watch. They should last a while, and the Garden is going to be rocking to the point where there might be some earthquakes in New York.
It's going to be absolutely tremendous here. Before we dive in, because I want to ask you about actually betting this live tonight here, which I don't know a lot of people realize they can do here. But there's been a lot of rumors. We were hearing Durant and the people moving up, people moving out. How much of the order are you worried about where teams are going to be trading all over the place in the top 10 tonight, or are you not worried?
So I think the order and knowing which teams are going to be trading really impacts my desire to want to wait and live bet this, Joe. This is the first year where there's some more limited draft markets, so we don't have odds for Atlanta Hawks to draft Donovan Clingan, right? Because they're rumored to maybe want him at 1, they're rumored to maybe trade down to 3, and then you're starting to wonder, okay, if they're the team that's going for Clingan, let me just pair Hawks and Clingan. Well, that bet doesn't exist. You could only bet 1 as the exacta or 3 as the exacta, and if there's a trade that's just a formality of which cap you put on, and your bet will actually lose if technically the Houston Rockets take the pick, right? So waiting to see which of these trades comes in is a great reason to live bet it and be prepared with these things like if-then statements. It's almost like the scientific method from like 7th grade when we're testing a hypothesis, if, then, because, right? So if you're saying, if Zachary Richichet goes number 1, then we are live betting the crap out of Sarr to go number 2. If Memphis trades up to number 3, then we are live betting the crap out of Donovan Clingan to end up going number 3. So we are building out some of these scenarios to be ready for a live betting purpose.
You and I, we talked over the week, and I find it fascinating sitting at number 4 with San Antonio. We talked about, and I had asked you, who goes first, Clingan or Castle? Well, they've both kind of been rumored to be right around that spot there, but I think you're convinced Castle, San Antonio, should I just bet it now and be done with it?
The only reason why I'd hesitate is because they have the 4th pick and the 8th pick. So can San Antonio get a little sneaky and say, oh, we could actually grab potentially Reed Shepherd if he slips to 4 and then also still get Castle at 8? Or do we need to use the 4th pick on Castle? Which is why I say, Joe, I wish there was these markets of like, does San Antonio draft Castle? Not just does Castle go in the 4th or the 8th. You could make a portfolio of those odds at plus money. It's a little bit difficult to do. It's not really worth the ROI compared to the risk that you're running into that someone else wants that player. Charlotte Hornets have been enamored with Castle and they sit at 6. So maybe does San Antonio become one of these teams that wants to trade? Do they end up getting, snuck in front of with Charlotte taking him and have to take Devin Carter? So really waiting and seeing this play out live is going to be the best option. But there's a good first round bet that I really like, Joe. If I could give that out to you.
Sure.
It's Johnny Murphy to go in the first round of the NBA draft. It's a minus 400, but that implies an 80%. I think this is 97% chance that Murphy gets drafted in the first round. He's incredibly young. He's one of the youngest players in this draft. He's got an already NBA-ready body. In terms of advanced scouting metrics and projections and analytics, he's expected to be a top 5 to top 10 rookie performer already. So not only do you have the youth, you get someone who could play immediately. And all of that, he was invited to the NBA green room, which means he's there on draft night. He's one of 25 people invited for 30 picks. And the NBA doesn't want to have the camera on the guy as he's slipping and have this embarrassing moment be the headline of draft night. They want the guy to put on his cap, answer the question, thank God, tell his parents how much he loves them, and move on to his team interview. So Furphy being invited and being so highly scouted makes me think he's damn near a lock to go in the first round, and minus 400 is worth the juice.
So sticking with that thought process, I believe Nikola Topic's also in the green room here tonight. Had the ACL injury, but why is he there if they're not planning on his name being called is somewhere early enough in this draft here?
So I actually think he's definitely a lock to go, even in the lottery, top 15, because of his talent. He was a potential top 5 pick that obviously has this ACL injury in the weeks leading up to the NBA draft. Now he's going to miss his entire season. But, Joe, we've seen this happen in years past. We've had Blake Griffin miss his entire rookie season and come back and win Rookie of the Year. We have Ben Simmons miss his entire rookie season and come back and win Rookie of the Year. So if there are these teams, maybe it's the Utah Jazz at 10, maybe it's the Portland Trailblazers at 7, who don't really have a ton of aspirations for next season, and it's a loaded draft next season. So do you draft and stash someone who's a top 5? Tank this season, get another top 5 pick, and then you're coming back the following year roaring with a combination of guards.
So a couple of names that we were all familiar with coming out of college this year, and you mentioned the Blazers there, Dalton Connect at 7. Is that something you're looking at there as well? Seems like a good fit.
So. Yeah, great fit. I mean, he should be a great fit anywhere in the NBA. We've seen how productive he was in college, how competitive he was. The Blazers are just linked to so many of these potential people that might fall. So it's like, okay, then who's going to be left over? Because they want Klingon. They're okay. They really like Castle. They really like Reed Shepherd. So if any of those guys fall unexpectedly, then Portland scoops them up. If not, then Connect is the guy. But then you're betting on 6 things happening that make sense in a draft. And that's sort of never the case of what happens in a draft.
Yeah, there's a lot of if-thens happening here tonight. And finally, Zach Edey. Where's he go? Does he go? Does anybody care?
Definitely goes top 15-ish. 14, Portland loves him. 12, the Thunder really like him. 11, Chicago reportedly likes him. He's been rumored to Memphis at 9. I don't think the fit is great there. So I would think it becomes 11, 12, or 14. His over-under on his draft prop is hovering right around 14.5. It's probably worth the under because he's also been skyrocketing in the top 10 odds. So I don't think it's worth it. I like the under 14.5.
I like that number as well. Well, get ready, man. Do some push-ups. Get some free throws in, Mike. It's going to be a long night for you here, brother. We appreciate the time as always. Game Time Decisions returns after this here on the Grid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
11 and 12. I know you're going to get Mafia excited here. Hot and bothered.
You got to put Aaron Rodgers here and the Jets at 11. I would put him higher, but again, he barely played football last season. They've addressed their offensive line. It's not going to be great. The depth at wide receiver is a problem for me. Defense, perhaps the best in the National Football League. If Rodgers plays 14 games, they're probably going to win that division over the Bills.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Rory Mack, it's going to be remembered. It will be a lasting image from the 2024 United States Open, just like Bryson DeChambeau's 55-yard bunker shot.
We love big-time winners. Like, you win a championship, we want to hear from you. You get the stage. Sometimes it's emotional. It's a great watch. We know we also love the losers who said, you know what, I just can't believe I folded down the stretch. Let me face the music here. You sort of get a new light there.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network as we get ready for the NBA draft coming up here in just, 8 o'clock, a little about an hour and a half. We do have a very special edition coming up at 7:30 Eastern time here of Draft Central on the Sports Grid Network. But we do have a handful of games getting ready to get started in Major League Baseball, and nobody knows that better than Mark Zinno stepping in here as he, too, is getting ready for the Yankees and Gleyber Torres to bust out of there. What? No, Gleyber's not playing. All right, forget Gleyber Torres. Mark Zinno, you might be hitting fifth tonight for the Yankees, and it wouldn't hurt because they got a lefty on the mound in Manea. I mean, what? You going to give me plus money on the better hitting team in the Mets at home? What are we doing here?
I mean, this number has been coming down, down, down in favor of the Mets all day long. And I guess that's a sign that people are not believing in Luis Gil as a starter anymore, given his last three starts against the Dodgers, the Red Sox, and the Orioles, which were not all that great, comparatively speaking to his starts against the soft-hitting Twins, White Sox, A's, Mariners, and teams of the like. So this is a real bounce-back spot for Gil. I approach this game from a first five perspective here, Joe. If Gil isn't going to be good early and he's going to get knocked around, I don't like the Yankees' chances against this Mets bullpen. Furthermore, as much as the Mets in the macro picture on the season, their numbers at home look bad offensively, in the month of June, they are the highest hitting, highest scoring team in baseball. They are tearing the cover off the ball and without regard for anybody else's well-being. I mean, they are just scoring runs at an alarming rate. So it depends on which team shows up for the Mets, which Luis Gil shows up for the Yankees. But I'll trust the Yankees here to get through five with a little bit of a lead. Last night's game was not as close as the final score indicated. If Aaron Judge doesn't hit a grand slam, thing looks a lot more like a blowout. So I don't think the Yankees want to get swept, even though it's a two-game short series in the Subway Series. And Gil should be back to form tonight against the Mets. Let's hope so.
Yeah, they're going to need him to bounce back in this one here because the team that lit him up can't win a game since they lit him up. Is in Baltimore. They are going through it, not because they can't hit, but their bullpen and, of course, the starting pitching, if you're not hurt, you're getting lit up. Crazy game last night. I don't. Why would I even look at an under in this game when it's just as hot, just as humid, and worse pitchers on the mound here tonight? What are we doing here?
Well, Carrasco is the worst pitcher. Grayson Rodriguez has been very good for the Orioles all year long, and he gets a ton of run support, almost 7 runs a game. So his ERA is a little bit inflated, yet he still keeps winning games because the Orioles seem to score for him. I agree. I thought you could attack this game several different ways, which was either the Orioles team total over. The problem is that if they don't get to Carrasco, the Guardians have the best bullpen in baseball. So if they don't score 5 runs before Carrasco gets departed, could be tough for them to get at the rest of the game. This was another game I cut in half here, figuring that Grayson Rodriguez, who gets a ton of run support, would get some here early against a weaker pitcher in Carrasco, and that he would be good enough to at least try to limit this red-hot Guardians lineup from scoring. And for the Orioles, Joe, it's been sort of weird. It's like in games where their pitching is good, they're not scoring enough and losing 3-2 games. In games where their pitching is bad, they're hitting enough, but they're losing 10-8 games. So that's what's kind of happened over the course of the last 5 games. After taking 2 of 3 from the Braves, the Phillies, and the Yankees, they've now lost 5 straight, the Orioles have, to the Astros and Guardians. So definitely a tough spot tonight. And the Orioles were priced heavily to not get swept 2 series in a row. I mean, they were almost a 2-1 favorite here tonight.
Yeah, and the only problem is with the bats warming up in yesterday's game coming out of the week, the bullpens have been taxed. I don't see Class A pitching again here tonight. And, well, congratulations. Kimbrel's available, and we all know how that's going to end up here when push comes to shove. So it's going to be a fascinating game here, one in which, listen, Baltimore's not going to lose every game, like you said, but I do think they're a good play to back here, either team total or some combination there. Yeah. I do think the runs are coming here. I also think that the over is probably not a bad look in Toronto and Boston. Do you trust either of these 2 pitchers to keep this thing under double digits?
I actually kind of do. It's weird, Joe, because Cutter Crawford has got some of the worst run support in all of Major League Baseball. He gets 3.3 runs per start. That's it. And the Red Sox have an awful, and I mean awful record with him on the mound this year, despite the fact that he's got an ERA in the mid-threes. They're 4-11 in his 15 starts overall. So they don't hit the ball for whatever reason when Cutter Crawford is on the mound. His numbers are a lot better. I don't trust the Toronto lineup to score. This kind of feels like a gift under, but baseball is quirky that way in the sense that, you know, just when you think everything looks like it points to the under, it goes over. But Cutter Crawford should be good enough to limit the Blue Jays here. And my whole philosophy, you know, if they ain't scoring early, they ain't scoring late. You get a 9.5. You can get a 5 and go under 5 in the first 5, probably the way I'd play that.
Talk to me about, I love this late game here with Minnesota and Arizona. Nelson, much better at home, especially his last couple of starts. A dude who's got 9 names, I think we talked about this, is never trustworthy. But also, Arizona's not the Athletics or the Rockies. So the Twins have problems beating teams that are actually halfway decent and mediocre.
Well, the Twins have problem beating teams because they have problems scoring runs in general. I mean, it's just not a very good offense. They strike out way too much. They don't put the bat on the ball. And that's never good when you're trying to win a game. And so it always feels like, you know, whenever you bet on Minnesota, there's always the risk that they're only going to score 2 runs in a game. They may only give up 3, and they may give up, one of those 3 or 2 of those 3 in the 7th inning or later, and you're on the wrong side of a game where you thought the money line was the right play, like you're seeing tonight. It is a short favorite, but that's the risk you run with Minnesota here. And I don't like Ryan Nelson all that much as a starter either. I don't think Arizona's, of all the teams that probably aren't going to snap out of it, Arizona's on my list as a team that's not going to snap out of it, that maybe last year their World Series run was a little fugazi, and that this team isn't really all that in the bag of chips. Gallen has been nowhere near as dominant as he was last year. Neither some of these other starters. Brandon Pfaadt, who was hot during the playoffs, is back to the Pfaadt of regular season last year where he couldn't get anybody out. So this is not an Arizona team I trust either.
Yeah, I would under 9, not a bad look there either here. Your boy Fede is coming up here. First 5 Fede is what we're calling him here. I want to get your thoughts on that. And you being a Knick guy must be ecstatic over the last 24 hours for them. I want to get your thoughts on that as well as Game Time Decisions continues here on the Grid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
11 and 12. I know you're going to get Mafia excited here. Hot and bothered.
You got to put Aaron Rodgers here and the Jets at 11. I would put him higher, but again, he barely played football last season. They've addressed their offensive line. It's not going to be great. The depth at wide receiver is a problem for me. Defense, perhaps the best in the National Football League. If Rodgers plays 14 games, they're probably going to win that division over the Bills.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Rory Mack, it's going to be remembered. It will be a lasting image from the 2024 United States Open, just like Bryson DeChambeau's 55-yard bunker shot.
We love big-time winners. Like, you win a championship, we want to hear from you. You get the stage. Sometimes it's emotional. It's a great watch. We know we also love the losers who said, you know what, I just can't believe I folded down the stretch. Let me face the music here. You sort of get a new light there.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in. Game Time Decisions here on the Sports Grid Network. Mark Zinno in for another segment with us as the trades keep coming here in the NBA as the Wizards trade Avdija there to the Portland Trailblazers, who are going to give up. They have, as you can imagine, they have multiple draft picks here tonight. The 7th and the 14th. Looks like Brogdon is on the move along with the 14th pick. And Avdija's on his way to the Portland Trailblazers. Not a bad move, but I do believe the jockeying for position tonight in what is not a very, it's a deep draft, but there's not the Victor Wembanyama's of this generation. There's not the Zion Williams. You don't have those kinds of players. So I do believe there's going to be a lot of jockeying for position tonight in this draft. And guys are going to be on the move. But, Mark Zinno, you're a Knicks guy, and my goodness. The latest here, OG signs 5 years, $212.5, man. And you knew once they made the trade for Mikal Bridges, another, I believe, Villanova guy, by the way, it just felt like this was all – Anunoby was almost a given. I don't want to say it's a given, but it felt like the reason they made that trade is because they knew they were getting OG to sign. Otherwise, it didn't make any sense. Lose him inside Mikal Bridges. Now, if I'm the Boston Celtics, I'm a little bit concerned here.
Well, I'm still concerned for the New York Knicks. They just gave $212 million to a guy who only plays about 57% of the games on the schedule. So,
but it's an important 57.
Yeah, no. Well,
in the latter half,
right? If 30, 25 of those 57 are playoff games, and I guess you're doing okay. But look, it's not a bad move to re-sign OG. Certainly wasn't a bad move to get another 3-point shooter, another good shooter, a 3 and a D defender, in Mikal Bridges. So fits right into what the Knicks want to do defensively. Fits into that scheme. Not a guy who's going to lag on the defensive end of the court. And you can never have enough shooting. It's just like starting pitching and offensive line play. You just can never have enough of it. And certainly Bridges brings another depth of shooting to this team that may be hard to beat, because look at what Boston did. Again, they won with depth and shooting. That's what got them through to the NBA Finals and raising the Larry O'Brien trophy. So Knicks are using that model a little bit here. At least it looks that way, and certainly trying to follow that formula.
Got a hell of a starting lineup, though, the Knicks will going forward. That should be extremely interesting here. Do you agree with me on the draft here? I mean, if we're all thinking tonight that the big story is going to be Bronny James, then there's really nobody in this draft that is going to move the needle one way or the other. I still think he's going to L.A., although they can try to sell me that, all these other teams are interested in hopes of luring LeBron. Like, no, he's going to the Lakers. It's just a matter of, is he going in the 17th or the 55th pick here? I don't even think that's up for debate. But there's very little decided up at the top of this board, especially with your Atlanta Hawks. What are you hearing? What's the first pick off the board?
I'm hearing that the adults are not in the room any longer, given who the adults are. I just don't have a whole lot of faith in this front office, and neither should anybody else at this point in time. I mean, I keep saying repeatedly that if you are going to run this thing back as the Atlanta Hawks and just add Zachary Richardson, then knock yourself out. Enjoy finishing 9th in the East again. I don't know what to tell. Like, you're not going to net different results adding Richardson or Alexander Sarr. These are two 18-year-old kids that, are not Victor Wembanyama. And even that, Victor Wembanyama last year still finished on a team that was in the bottom 5 in the NBA. So I don't know what the Hawks' plan is. I would start the rebuild now. I would do what the Nets did. I would move Trae Young. I'd move DeJounte Murray. I'd start stockpiling picks a la the Oklahoma City Thunder. And look where the Thunder are now. But you know what I know is not going to change anything? Sticking with Trae Young and DeJounte Murray on the same roster, particularly Trae Young, who doesn't play any defense. If you'd like to have one of the worst 5 defenses in the league again, keep Trae Young on the floor for 37 minutes a night. You're going to have a bad defense. It's not a knock on him. He's a great player. He's an all-star and should be a perennial all-star every single year. But this team is currently constructed is not good enough to do anything in the play-in tournament.
I don't get it. I don't know why they're hemming and hawing. You got to hit the reset button. And would it shock me if Trae Young is part of whatever trade it is and they move out of the number one spot? Wouldn't shock me at all. And if you're a Hawks fan, it sounds like you're thinking, finally, an adult in the room stood up and did the right thing. Zeno, all the best, man. Enjoy the night. Good luck with those picks. Game Time Decisions. We'll be back coming up next here on the Grid.
Technically, despite having the most wins in both the AL and all of Major League Baseball, 52 of them for New York, no longer the best winning percentage.
You expect your front offices to hit that gas pedal when it comes time to get a better team on the field post All-Star break, because the one thing that you know from the Yankees and the Orioles is what, Ben? You're going to fight with each other throughout the stretch here, and you want home field advantage.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
You know, this guy is the mad scientist. I mean, he's all about green density. So in my mind, I feel like he's going to have the green speeds dialed in, and the angles needs to land them and all that sort of stuff. I feel like he's going to be a good spot and playing the course well. And he's going to be hitting less club into a lot of these par threes too. So I just, we're talking about using a live guy. I love Bryson this week. I'm riding with Bryson.
Only on SportsGrid.
This new sports integrity partnership, Genius Sports, is involved in this. More protection.
They said that's going to allow them to beef up their protection and add more integrity monitoring tools to essentially catch bad behavior before it happens. This comes, obviously, after a just ton of scandals we've had across sports betting lately, whether it's the MLB umpire, Pat Hoberg.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Despite me being a Yankee fan, I think Joe would deserve the label as Aaron Judge's biggest fan, not through any bias, but just through the amount of money that he's made anybody who's been betting on him.
I just had him for that home run, and I'm going to go back to it today. That home run coming in at plus 230. Max Fried here, while he has been strong, this is Aaron Judge.
Game Time Decisions, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in, off and running here. Game Time Decisions on this NBA draft night. Pretty exciting stuff here as NBA teams, 30 guys getting ready to go off the board here tonight. We have a very special edition of Draft Central coming your way at the bottom of this hour tonight. So get ready for that. We will have every pick for you covered on the SportsGrid network tonight, but we also have Major League Baseball to get to. In fact, one game underway right now, and we're waiting for the first pitch on a few others. And no doubt, there were a couple of games worth betting here tonight, and Joe Madden knows that as she steps in here. And Joe, I just saw finally a home run by the Guardians off of Grayson Rodriguez, 1-0 in this game so far. I've counted 6 guys left on base between the two of them. Hoping that we get a few more runs in this game. But I'm also kind of hoping I get that with Toronto and Boston. Your Blue Jays there got off the schneid. Can they roll this into a winning streak now? Can they beat Boston now for a second game?
Are you going to hold your breath on it, Joe? Because I definitely wouldn't be holding my breath on counting for the Toronto Blue Jays to win 2 in a row here. I'm looking at this one to absolutely go over that total, over 9.5 in this one for me. I can't trust either pitcher out here not to give up those big home runs. Both of them have been vulnerable. We look at Rodriguez coming out here. He's 0-2 with a 5.94 ERA. I do think he can go over his strikeouts, so I'm looking for him to to go over 3.5 strikeouts. That's coming in at -120. In 16.1 innings pitch, we have seen him be able to get 17 strikeouts on the board. And we look at the Red Sox here. They're the 5th highest striking out team in the major league. So I do think as long as we can get 5 innings out of Rodriguez, he will go over 3.5 strikeouts. Now, both of these pitchers are going to give up the runs. Crawford here, he doesn't have a great ERA. It's a 3.59. The Blue Jays should be able to hit him, and I'm looking at Vladdy to be able to hit him hard. Vladdy for the home run is coming in at +300, and then I'm going to turn to Devers on the Red Sox here as well. For that home run, he's coming in at +285. I do think this is just one of those games you can count on the runs coming in, those home runs coming in. We look at these two teams matched up at Fenway, 8-2 in their last 10 to the over, Joe.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Usually teams coming off a long losing streak like they were, they finally win a game. They usually win another one or two here, and it goes the other way. Speaking of losing streaks, I guess we got to talk about the Yankees because the Mets continue to crush. Louis Hill on the mound for the Yankees, but he got crushed by Baltimore last time out. Manea's on the mound for the Mets. How are you approaching this one here, Game 2 of the Subway Series?
You know, I rode with the New York Mets yesterday, and I was so glad I did. And I was so tempted to take them straight up on the money line in this one today. But I'm just going to look at their team total, Joe, and expect them to be able to get the runs on the board. The bats are hot for the Mets right now, and I think over 3.5 runs is a solid way to go. That's coming in at -130. We look at Gill out here, and he hasn't been his best. Over his last 3 starts, that ERA is inflated over 8, and I do think the Mets will hit off of him. Now, Manaea, on the other hand, he's got a strong ERA out here, and I do think he can do enough to limit the bats for a little bit here of the Yankees. But when we're looking at the Yankees, Aaron Judge has to get back on the board here, and I do think he gets that home run in this one. Now, you're not getting as much value as we were getting earlier in the season with Judge for the home run, but at +176, I still do think you hit him here. He's got 2 home runs and 6 RBIs in 14 appearances versus the Mets here. So I think this is a solid place to take him. Now, looking at Manaea, he has had a couple of issues versus the Yankees. That ERA is at a 4.46. So as long as he can get the run support, I do think the Mets have the opportunity of winning, but I do think it's stronger here to look at the Mets team total to the over. Now, I'm going to also circle JD Martinez here of the New York Mets to be able to come out strong and get that home run on the board as well. His value is all there at +120. He had a hit and an RBI in yesterday's games, and we look at him. He doesn't strike out as much versus righties, and I do think versus Gill here, we could see him hit him hard.
I agree. I just think until further notice, the Yankees are off limits. It's just that simple here, unless it's Aaron Judge hitting a home run, and you better hurry up and bet it, Joe, because there's going to come a time where they're just not going to pitch to him anymore, and that's going to be the end of that. By the way, what time are you going to Edmonton's parade? That's right. It's actually, I'll be there this weekend. Let me ask you also about the Dodgers and the White Sox there, Joe. This is an interesting one. Fetty on the mound taking on Stone. I love Stone. I love Fetty. He's been cashing a lot of tickets for us early in games. What are we doing tonight here?
Yeah, you said it. Fetty is a pitcher that you look at early in these games, looking at those first 5 innings for the Chicago White Sox to come out nice and strong versus the Dodgers in this one with Fetty getting the start. I like them in the first 5 innings, and I know it's a scary situation versus the LA Dodgers here, especially with Gavin Stone getting the start, but I think it's worth it for the value you're getting on the Chicago White Sox in the first 5 innings, straight up on the money line at +122, because I do think both of these pitchers can come out nice and strong, limit the bats on either side. I'm also going to look at the first 5 innings under 4.5 runs. It's kind of juicy at -135, but I do think it's a solid way to go. So give me the Chicago White Sox on the money line in the first 5 innings with Fetty getting the start, and then the under 4.5 in the first 5. And Joe, anytime you want to put a shot there at the Edmonton Oilers, it's a great day. So enjoy the parade in Florida.
I don't know what came off. I don't know what came over me there because I was told that they shouldn't even play the game. So I'm curious, one other game late tonight here, and that's going to be with Minnesota and Arizona. And I kind of like Arizona. I don't like Minnesota against any team that can hit. They already won last night, Arizona. And Minnesota beats the bottom feeders. I don't think Arizona's there. How are you approaching this one?
Yeah, this was a hard one for me when I first looked at this game. I was looking at both of these starting pitchers and trying to see who I really think has the edge. Wood Richardson, I do have more faith in than Ryan Nelson here. Ryan Nelson worries me, and I do think the Twins will be able to get the runs on him. So while I do think the Diamondbacks have the ability to win, a little leery of it here. So I looked at the Twins team total, Joe, taking the Twins team total over 4.5 runs. They've been really strong versus righties. So I'm expecting those hits to come in. Now, could this finish 6-5 with the Diamondbacks getting the win? Absolutely. But that way, I've still got the Twins being able to get those 5 runs on the board for me. When you look at Ryan Nelson, he's had 1 career appearance versus the Twins, and he got completely lit up. He went 3 innings and allowed 6 earned runs. So I'm hoping the Twins can do something like that, come out nice and strong, get those runs on Ryan Nelson quick, and then we can be done with that team total and get out of that game.
Love it. Like the way you're going with that. Runs, and more runs in the humidor there in Arizona. All right, let me just ask you a question. How good is Draisaitl going to look in a Panther uniform next year? I'm just saying. I mean, is it not? It's going to look just tremendous. Is it not? I think it's going to be so much fun to watch that duo be broken up. Although, really, we haven't seen him play for a month, it feels like. All right there, Joe. Outstanding stuff as always. The NHL will be back before we know it, and then we can rip apart, the usual Canadian, except Calgary. We don't make fun of Calgary on this show here, Joe. We know better. You will get cut, and I know this by you. But it should be an awful lot of fun here tonight. NBA draft coming up. And, of course, I'm looking forward to these games, starting with the Yankees. And the Mets coming up here in a couple of minutes, and the draft is coming up as well. We'll have more on that. Joe, best of luck. Enjoy the games here tonight. Go Panthers. And we'll be back. Game Time Decisions here on the Grid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
11 and 12. I know you're going to get Mafia excited here. Hot and bothered.
You got to put Aaron Rodgers here and the Jets at 11. I would put him higher, but again, he barely played football last season. They've addressed their offensive line. It's not going to be great. The depth at wide receiver is a problem for me. Defense, perhaps the best in the National Football League. If Rodgers plays 14 games, they're probably going to win that division over the Bills.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Rory Mack, it's going to be remembered. It will be a lasting image from the 2024 United States Open, just like Bryson DeChambeau's 55-yard bunker shot.
We love big-time winners. Like, you win a championship, we want to hear from you. You get the stage. Sometimes it's emotional. It's a great watch. We know we also love the losers who said, you know what, I just can't believe I folded down the stretch. Let me face the music here. You sort of get a new light there.
The Early Line. only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in. Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network as we get ready. We're about 10 minutes or so away from a very special edition of Draft Central because the NBA Draft getting ready to take center stage at the Barclays Center. We've got you covered here on the SportsGrid Network. We are also breaking news left and right in the NBA as OG Anunoby going to be a Knick for at least the next 5 years or $212.5 million, whichever comes first, as they are looking to sign not only OG, we know the trade was made there from Mikal Bridges, and suddenly Villanova basketball is back on the map, and Eric Lindquist knows this because Lord knows they haven't been on the map this year, but wow. A lot of Villanova love there. What are you? I'm not shocked. Once they signed Mikal Bridges, it felt like they did it thinking they were going to get OG one way or the other. But great move for the Knicks. At least they're pushing all in here.
I'm a little surprised. I mean, this came in pretty hot, pretty quick. OG Anunoby, let's just take under consideration that this was a guy that is known as a decent two-way player, but we are about to see $40+ million a year going his direction. You want to know what this market looks like? This is your first taste of it. It is going to get insane. Some of these contracts we looked at coming in. Jaden McDaniels last season for my Minnesota Timberwolves is kind of the guy who really jump-started that process for me of being like, wow, this is going to get ridiculous. But OG Anunoby, he was rumored to test free agency. He basically said that he was going to take a look at it, but I guess the Bridges signing, having him under contract, makes it really appealing to just go back to that team, wing it up. That's what you just saw Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum do to win an NBA championship. This is pretty incredible here for the New York Knicks.
Yeah, it's fantastic stuff. I mean, it's let's go. No more excuses here, Knicks. And I think he's 27 now, Anunoby. So if he can stay healthy, I think it could be money well spent by the Knicks. However, we've got a draft coming up here, Eric, in which there is no Victor Wembanyama. There is no clear-cut number one to Atlanta. Either Atlanta has no idea what they're doing, which should shock nobody, or they're planning on moving out of this pick. I mean, at what point do you start to really consider no more Trae Young or Murray and just start from scratch here? Or are they just going, who are they going to? What happens with Atlanta on the clock here?
I think they end up pulling the trigger on Risa Shea. I mean, you look at all the books right now. He is a prohibited favorite to go first. -500 over on DK, -1,000 over at FanDuel a second ago. Risa Shea, it's going to be very hard for them to get away from the appealing talent. It's been kind of a weird season for him over there in France, and yet I think there's no doubt that Atlanta has to pull the trigger on him, if not for the usage of playing him, to be able to move him in a package with somebody else. We're going to see San Antonio. They're really the team that I'm the most interested to see what happens tonight. Multiple picks here in the top 10, so one at 4, one at 8. I think pay attention to Risa Shea potentially linking up with another Frenchman. Look at potentially some moves to get Trae Young to San Antonio. There's a lot of strange scenarios where I think San Antonio and obviously what happens at 3 with Reed, we'll talk about that here as well. There's a lot of mixed bag scenarios where this is not remotely close to what ends up being the complexion of each of these teams going forward. Risa Shea, definitely somebody who could get drafted by Atlanta but be moving by the end of the night.
So Washington 2, Houston 3. We heard, of course, Durant to Houston. Of course, the Phoenix owner comes out and says you got to be out of your mind. But I don't know that any of it tonight is off the table here. Are you thinking that there may be a couple of teams we're not done with the craziness here tonight as far as signing trades and big name guys, or do you think this is going to just follow the chalk the rest of the way through?
Yeah, well, there's going to be nothing chalky about 3 and the rest of the way down. It could be chalky. I'm talking about a very outlandish scenario with Atlanta and Risacher where they potentially move him. There are some links there. Alex Sarr, I'm quite confident goes number 2. An Australian, pretty big kid, 19-year-old that'll definitely be going to Washington, especially after they moved Denny Avdia no more than 30 minutes ago. He's on his way to Portland as we speak, but at 3, Reed Shepherd, anytime you see a kid who shoots better than 50% from 3 playing 29 minutes a game in the SEC, they're going to garner a lot of attention from a lot of bigwig NBA places. And Reed Shepherd could end up absolutely anywhere on this draft board, and it's going to be electric to watch because he could end up being in Phoenix by the end of the night. He could end up in a couple of days getting moved. But Reed Shepherd, he's only 6'2", a little bit undersized, but he finds ways to get shots off, and probably one of the best three-point prospects we've seen in NBA history, which isn't like that outlandish to say when you shoot 52% in the SEC for a college season. So Houston at 3, that is going to be the one I think most people are paying attention to, that pick by way of the Nets.
So, Klingon, I saw his number 3.5, over or under 3.5 here in the spot tonight. Atlanta loves him too. Where does he land here? Does he go a little further back? Does San Antonio get him? What happens here?
Yeah, most places have Klingon going a little bit further than that. I think that would be kind of the consensus answer would be more on the 3.5. Portland at 7 makes a lot of sense at the center position. I also think Klingon is a very interesting guy that if he were to fall back and you're looking for some value at number 9, if for some reason Klingon, which heralded center out of UConn, ends up falling down further, Memphis being able to put him alongside Jaren Jackson Jr., where he can kind of lessen the load and potentially have him at 4, that defensive front court would be incredible to be watching. Another year, Brandon Clark being added, was working back from his injury at the tail end of last season. And of course, getting back John Morant, it could be a really fun team to see him land on.
Zach Edey, Nikola Topic, by the way, in the green room here tonight, tore his ACL, but there are a lot of folks think he's there for a reason here tonight. I'm imagining he's going to be a top 10 pick.
Yeah, for sure. I would think that he would have to be. Yeah.
Yeah. Why else there? And Bronny, where's he go? Over, under Thursday?
Oh my dear God. You had to ask me this one. Probably the thing most people have asked me today, and I'm just like, what do you want from me? It's Bronny James. He is the biggest wild card. Can you talk LeBron James into departing from JJ Redick? I think not.
I don't think so either. Eric Lindquist, appreciate it, brother. We'll wrap it up. Game Time Decisions coming up here on the grid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
11 and 12. I know you're going to get Mafia excited here. Hot and bothered.
You got to put Aaron Rodgers here and the Jets at 11. I would put him higher, but again, he barely played football last season. They've addressed their offensive line. It's not going to be great. The depth at wide receiver is a problem for me. Defense, perhaps the best in the National Football League. If Rodgers plays 14 games, they're probably going to win that division over the Bills.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Rory Mack, it's going to be remembered. It will be a lasting image from the 2024 United States Open, just like Bryson DeChambeau's 55-yard bunker shot.
We love big-time winners. Like, you win a championship, we want to hear from you. You get the stage. Sometimes it's emotional. It's a great watch. We know we also love the losers who said, you know what, I just can't believe I folded down the stretch. Let me face the music here. You sort of get a new light there.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Time Decisions here on the SportsGrid Network as we are moments away from handing it off to a very special edition of Draft Central here, NBA style, as the NBA draft getting ready, top of the hour at the Barclays Center. The Atlanta Hawks will be on the clock. And, of course, we will be there along the way as Ben Stevens, Kevin, the coach, all will have you guys covered for everything you need to know as you follow along for the draft coming up here in just a couple of minutes. We'll keep you posted, though, on a couple of Major League Baseball games that are also underway right now that we're going to keep an eye on all night. And, of course, the Yankees and the Mets are underway there. Some concerns about the weather in this one, but no score at Citi Field thus far. They are underway at Fenway with the Blue Jays and the Red Sox. We don't have any score in that one, but we do have a game number 2 coming up from a doubleheader today. The Braves handled business earlier today from that rain out last night. They're at Busch Stadium. Game number 2, Bryce Elder on the mound for the Braves here tonight, going up against the Cardinals. Still no score. They just got underway there just after the top of the hour. Dodgers, White Sox. Gavin Stone taking on Eric Fetty. And like this one, I like the under in the first 5 a lot more at Guaranteed Rate Field. The Dodgers lineup still trying to get adjusted without Mookie Betts here. There's just only so many runs you can score with Ohtani leading off and hitting home runs with nobody else on base here. But Fetty has been phenomenal early. I hope him and Stone, who has been the unsung hero of that pitching staff for the Dodgers, here's hoping that he continues to limit the runs like he has done all season long. I do like the White Sox team total under 3.5 here tonight, as they are probably not getting that. They got 3 runs last night, but that wasn't against Stone here. So I definitely think there's some ways to make some money in that game. Diamondbacks and Twins will be one of your late night games with Nelson and S. Woods Richardson. I have a hard time betting on a guy that has 19 names and it can't fit on the back of his jersey, but I kind of like the Diamondbacks as a home dog in this one. Nelson has been phenomenal at home, especially his last 2 starts. I think he's got an opportunity for another good one here tonight against the Twins. I'm also looking at the under in that one, under 9. And then, of course, the Cubs and the Giants will get ready to do battle. Wisniewski going for the Cubs here tonight. And the Cubs are just a tough team to get behind in any way, shape, or form. Watching them play, and bullpen games for the Giants, and it doesn't matter who they throw, they managed to beat the Cubs. In fact, it was really not 1 but 2 bullpen games for the Giants here over the last couple of nights, and it hasn't stopped them from handling business. The Cubs are a mess, and I think they're going to be a mess again here tonight. In the meantime, we've got that very special Draft Central coming up here in just a couple of minutes. The Atlanta Hawks are on the clock. Now, the question is, in everyone's mind, does Atlanta actually take somebody, or is this the moment where Atlanta decides it is time to move on from Trae Young and rebuild this thing? And that is going to be a big theme here tonight, especially with number 5, Detroit. The rumor is Detroit has no interest in a top 5 pick coming in at the 5th pick here. Could they package some of their picks here and move on and maybe get a little bit of experience in the marketplace with somebody? Detroit, it's certainly rumored to be on the move. And Houston, the rumors of Kevin Durant were flying earlier today. The Phoenix owner says, I don't think so, but you never, ever know here. The only thing of all the guys we have talked to here tonight is that Washington, in all likelihood, will remain at number 2, and in all likelihood, will be getting Alex Sarr as the pick. So whatever that number may be right now, not a bad way to start off the draft. Also not a bad way to start off the draft is by hanging out with Kevin Walsh, Ben Stevens, and the coach, James Young. They are coming up next here on a very special NBA Draft Central coming your way here on the Grid. Enjoy the draft. We'll see you again tomorrow.